Okay, so here we are in Lightroom. And really our goal in Lightroom here is not to do a lot of editing, but it's to kind of get the image a little bit flatter so that when we do pull it into Photoshop, we've got some more flexibility in what we can do with the exposures. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these highlights down and take the shadows up so you can see it's more information now here in the background, and this area here isn't as dark or isn't as bright. What I do like to do though is I like to try and find a single white point though. So I hold down the Option or Alt key and bring this up. You'll start to see those white points. Bring this down, still holding the Option key. And those are our dark points, our black points. And then let's just see. Just playing just a little bit. This looks fine. Right now I'm looking right here at this hot spot, so we're going to have to try and figure out how to deal with that. But we'll do that in Photoshop. And then let's just bring up the vibrance just a hair. And that's it. Now we're ready for Photoshop. So Control click, Edit in, Photoshop. All right, so here we are in Photoshop. First thing to do is to click on the lock here to unlock the layer. And then we're going to drag down this layer to the one right next to the trash, and this will copy the layer. So the first one we're going to do here is I'm going to rename it Clean. So our first step is to always clean the photo. This is usually the longest step. If you've got a lot of like dust marks on your lens, or there's people in the background like this case. So the first step is to clean. All right, let's go ahead and crop it. We can take care of this person mostly just by cropping them out. Let's come down a little bit. I think this can come over here. I want that thing right there, so I'm going to crop it. I think this looks good right here. Okay. Push Z to zoom, zoom fit. That'll give us a nice screen to work with. Actually, I'm going to push space and command, and I can toggle to the right, and this will get me a little, whoa, going too far here. Okay. So now let's go over to the Content Aware tool. Looks like that Band-Aid. You can control click and make sure it's on the top one, that little X. And then I'm going to go just right over the top of this and clean. Hopefully it does a good job. It's not bad. Let's make the brush smaller. I'm pushing the bracket, the left bracket tool. I'm going to clean up these edges a little bit. And okay, let's zoom out. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It looks somewhat real. Okay. And let's go ahead and clean up this exposure a little bit. Let's go back over here with the same tool, the Content Aware tool. And let's just copy over this. Okay. This didn't do that great of a job. Let's go back, and just for the sake of education, let's go ahead and use the clone stamp tool. So this tool 2 down looks like a stamp. Go to an area that you want to copy from, hold down Option or Alt, click once, you can let go, and then you can just brush over. You can see when I'm brushing that it's sampling from below it. I think it's sampling too much. So let's turn these off a little bit. Go back a few steps. And same thing, I'll sample from here, and then I'm going to turn down the opacity. It's like 50. Okay, let's sample from over here. Cool. All right, that looks better. So if I go back to my history, so here's before the clone stamp, and here's after the clone stamp. Now, it doesn't look like it's as distracting. Okay, anything else to clean? Yes, there's a stick along the log here. Let's get rid of that. So let's zoom in here. And we'll do the same thing. We'll clone. So select from just to the right of the stick, click, and go down the tree. You need to be careful you're not copying exactly. I can already see one spot where it looks kind of weird. Let's finish it off. See right there and right there, it's the exact same thing. So let's just sample from somewhere else. Sample from somewhere else. So you can see it here too. Let's get rid of that knot right there. And just kind of keep sampling around. Make sure you don't see direct replacements. Okay, that looks fine now. All right, anything else to clean? There's a little red spot right there. Just go up to the content aware. Okay. And maybe that leaf. There's a little spot right there. She's got something on her arm. And everything else looks fine. Okay, so the cleaning's done. The next thing I do is the exposure. So we just do selective exposure. There's an exposure in Lightroom, and you're welcome to use that one, but this is more selective. So we're going to make things lighter in certain areas and darker in others. So the first thing we'll do is make sort of the background a bit darker, and then so that'll help our eye focus on the subject here. So click the brightness tool, the brightness adjustment layer. I'm going to bring down the darkness, bring down the brightness, something like this. Okay, so it looks fine in the background. Now I'm going to I'm going to turn that adjustment off for this whole area. To do that, I look at this layer mask, make sure you're clicked on the layer mask itself. See, it has those like the lines around it. And I'm going to go and switch the colors here, black and white. I'm going to you to click right here on the brush tool, or just push B and make it pretty big, something like this. And I'm going to paint black onto the layer mask. That turns it off. Make it a bit smaller. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing with her face. I'm going to brighten up her face just a hair. So I'm going to get another brightness adjustment layer. I'm going to bring it up until I find what I like, which is maybe around there. I have to turn the whole thing off first. So I'm going to make this entire thing black. So it's white so I can see the entire adjustment over the whole layer, over the whole image. So I'm going to turn it off by pushing Shift Delete. And we're just going to fill with black, or you could fill with foreground color because it's in the foreground. All right, so just turned it off. Can't see anything. So now I'm going to go here and I'm going to switch these colors, or push X, and I'm going to paint with white. Okay, so now here's the before, and there's the after. You can see there's a subtle effect. I think it's helpful for the viewer. I'm going to switch the colors over to black, push X. Now I'm over to black, and I'm going to go up in here and turn that off. All around her face, I'm going to turn it off. Okay, switch it to white. Just toggle back and forth to white and black. That'll turn it off. And then you can paint and make sure it's turning off and on. Okay, so that's exposure. So let's see if we can go maybe even a little bit darker. This is up to you. This looks fine to me. So there's the before, there's the after. Just helps you center your eye on the subject. Okay, so there's exposure. Now let's go to the color adjustment layer. So right here, selective color. That's the next step. And really, I think we're probably only going to be playing with the greens. So let's just go and find the greens. And we'll just play around. And you might like it the way it is, which is totally fine, but you should try anyways. And I just go shopping here. I just play. I just go back and forth. Let's go to the yellows. There's a decent amount of yellow. There's a lot of yellow in this photo. I'm going to stick to something more green. Okay, so here's the before and the after. It's fairly subtle. Let's try the reds. There's a bunch of red in the ground here. So we'll see. And also in the bark. Okay. There, that looks pretty good. All right, so then that's the color. Now we're going to sharpen it. We're going to sharpen it in two ways. So the first way is to move the whole window over. The first way, we're going to go right here, click on those little lines. It'll open a window, and you're going to hold down Option or Alt while you do this, and just click Merge Visible. That will condense all the layers and put them onto one layer at the top of the stack. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to Filter, Other, High Pass. And you don't want to go too far. I think 4 is pretty much the limit. You can see, you can as soon as you start seeing color, and if I scroll this over, I start seeing color, the blue in the book, and you can see the halos around. It looks like this blurry line around the hard lines. That's when you've gone too far. So between 2 and 4 is usually my number. Okay, so just push OK. I'm going to go change the blend mode to normal to overlay. Now if we zoom in here into this area, there's the before, after, before, after. It's quite a bit sharper. That's one way to sharpen. Let's do it another way. So now you're going to go do the same thing. Let's condense all the layers. So hold down Option or Alt, Merge Visible. You're going to Filter, Sharpen, and Sharp Mask. And this is pretty much all I do. I keep it somewhere in the middle in the amount, and the radius low, and the threshold very low. And we can zoom in here and see the effect. Before, after, you probably won't be able to tell. Let's bring up the amount. Yeah, that's fine. It's good enough. And then that's it. We're ready to go. So for the web, I usually just go to Export, Save for Web. If this is going to be printed, you should not do this step. You should just export it with maximum JPEG resolution. So here we go, quality 100, maximum, and then click Save. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I usually just go like 1,000 pixels, 1,000 pixels wide. Go ahead and save. And just tell yourself where you want it. And that's it. Thanks for watching.